Mhm.
blend things, and freeze things, and that will reduce the work that your gut is having to do.
Yes. Okay. Is IBS and overall GI issues caused by plants? So hopefully by now you kind of know the answer to this a little bit, but when we're talking about the cause, right? So this is where I was getting with that is understanding the beans are not the cause, the broccoli is not the cause. So this is a big no, right? The plants do not cause the GI issues. So what causes like IBS and overall GI issues? There's a lot of things, and I'll maybe start. One of my favorite slides is this one here, is kind of getting into a little bit of the environment. I love that aspect of this. The exposome is the more research and medical term for this. This is like everything you're exposed to, everything that you come across does affect your body. And so when we look at the smaller circle here, this pre-industrial age, we were connected, right? It was the human microbiome, and we'd have a poo, and we'd probably do the poo right in our backyard. We called them outhouses, but even before, we would dig a hole in the dirt and go right in the dirt. There's still many countries who do that. And then we're actually using that same dirt to grow food. Again, not the same day. It takes some time to process. Now there are farmers who do that. It's called human manure. It's you take healthy manure from animals, including humans, and you use it to grow food. Then you get the plant microbiome, and then you eat the plant, right? And so we're in this cycle. We're in this direct connection of what we eat goes back into our environment. We're in the environment, we eat, and it repeats again, right? When we get into the industrial revolution, right, you see a lot of these factors come in, right, where you're getting into the antibiotics and the pesticides, and now we do our poo in the water, right? We do our business, we flush it away. We don't know where it goes. We don't know what happens to it. We have our soil, but maybe we grow on soil that's been tainted. Maybe we grow on soil that's been obliterated with fertilizers and pesticides. We get the plant from Trader Joe's, or we order it express delivery, and it's wrapped in plastic, and we eat it, right? And we're very disconnected from the whole thing. So there's so many inputs here, and I'll maybe let Dahlia speak to this other big graphic on just all these inputs that then just kind of exacerbate the gut over time and just kind of lead into a lot of these issues, the actual cause of
Yes.
these
And we are
issues.
not saying industrialization to
Yeah,
a certain degree is doing that, because it is nice to have sanitized restroom
totally.
facilities, to have a bowel movement. And it is very much helped with our health overall to eliminate that exposure to certain unhealthy microbes. So that is definitely not the point of that. But like James said, we have become highly disconnected from our foods for the most part. And what we do know is that does have its ramifications. The further and further we are from our soil microbiome, the more and more affected our gut microbiome is, where when we're eating fewer plants, usually it's displaced by something else. So when you're eating less whole plants, usually
Mhm.
you're eating more protein and you're eating more saturated fat. A lot of the times, then the diet comes with ultra hyper processed foods, whether that is something like an ultra hyper processed protein bar or other sources of ultra processed carbohydrates, proteins, or fats. Um, that then will kind of shift our own digestive juices and our own digestive fluids. When we are increasing our saturated fat intake, that will affect our bile acid production. Because when we eat and we chew our food, we begin digestion in the mouth. Our saliva is breaking things down. Then it goes into our stomach, where our stomach acid breaks things down. And so when we're more removed from our food, those things can be affected, where we might have an altered pH of our stomach acid or our gut as a whole. Our bile acid then comes in after the food is broken down in the stomach and prepared for digestion and absorption in the small intestine. Bile acid is necessary for that. And we also have pancreatic enzymes at that time that are necessary for that. Those things can drastically change based on what you're putting into them. For example, again, like I mentioned, that excess saturated fat intake can upregulate and increase production of what's called secondary bile acids, which lead to higher inflammation in the intestines. And those can definitely affect that mucosal barrier we were talking about, the gut lining, as we were talking about as well. We've seen also high intakes of fructose, which is a fruit sugar, which can be highly processed. That can be also altered, that can also alter liver function and bile acid production. Not only that, but then we're altering stomach acid levels as well with throwing in things like proton pump inhibitors. A very large percentage of Americans are taking proton pump inhibitors. It is one of the most commonly prescribed drugs in the United States. Most people taking a proton pump inhibitor, a PPI, don't realize that you're only recommended to take it up to 3 months. Even the package insert says that. The manufacturers themselves say that on the package insert, not recommended to be utilized longer than 3 months. We all know people who have been on it for 3 decades. I've certainly had patients who tell me that, like, what do you mean I'm not going to take my PPI? I've taken it for years and years and decades and decades. So again, when it's one of the most commonly prescribed drugs, when such a high percentage of Americans are using these drugs, that will have its downstream ramifications. Because if part one part of that digestion is not happening, all the others will be altered and affected as well. If you don't have enough saliva to break down and chew your food because of whatever condition, dehydration, certain autoimmune conditions like Sjogren's, that will affect then how that food meets your stomach. If you don't
Mhm.
have enough stomach acid, that will affect how that food can go into your small intestine. Without enough acid, you're not triggering strong signals to the pancreas and to the liver and gallbladder to say, hey, your turn, you produce what you need to produce. So these things have downstream effects. And then we know things like antibiotics are going to further affect things lower down in the small intestine, certainly in the large intestine as well, where the bugs will be off. And then the things that the bugs need to help control, like inflammatory markers, short chain fatty acid production, um, production of something that's inflammatory called lipopolysaccharide. That will have its effects not only on the gut, but like I said, to all the systems that connect to the gut, the cardiovascular system, the endocrine system, your neurologic system. All of these things will be then affected where we see increased risk for diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative disease. So it's so important to be more connected with the food in order to help balance out those microbes.
Yes. And so this is just another visualization, like we said, IBS, lack of fiber, antibiotics, maybe not breastfeeding as well, environmental toxins. I mean, there's so many things. And again, this isn't to be a downer. There's hope with all of
Yes,
this,
we'll get to that.
and we'll definitely get to that. But it's being aware, right? It's being aware of
Mhm.
these factors. It's understanding the whole point with this. The original point is going. Plants do not cause this, right?
Mhm.
There's so many other causes
So
that
many factors at play.
it's like plants, and really it's the lack of plants that we know is a cause, not the plants itself. So to clarify that, to really hammer that in, it's very, very important.
Mhm.
Okay. And again, to tie it back because it's important, again, your stomach lining, your modified epithelial cells, this mucosal layer is dependent on you eating plants. It's dependent on this because as you continue, or as these factors, and you're maybe focused on the broccoli and beans, and be like, I hate those are bad. But you're not focused on the environmental toxins or the stress or the other factors that are actually causing this damage. And on top of that, you're maybe moving away from fiber-rich foods. You're on an elimination diet, so this is even happening at a more rapid pace. So this is what we call a perfect storm. We see this a lot in college kids actually that come into our practice where
Mm.
they kind of are getting into the real world. They're like, oh my gosh, college, I took out a loan, and oh my gosh, I have to cook for myself.
And study.
I moved away from home. I study.